Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to United View. And these are not videos that we like doing. These are not videos. These are not news. This is not news that you want to be talking about, but it's very important that we do. Me on a personal level, I think it's very important to do it as well. And that is the allegations, obviously, that have been circulating today with the Mason Greenwood news. There's voice notes, voice clips, audio that's there, and obviously the visuals, and it's a situation that I feel needs dealing with ASAP. We've got to get to the bottom of it ASAP. We've got to get to the bottom of it now, and a thorough investigation needs to be done, and I'm sure it will. Manchester United have released a statement on that as well, and that reads like this. Manchester United, we are aware of images and allegations circulating on social media. Manchester United does not condone any violence of any kind. And that is obviously in reference to what happened in the allegations towards Mason Greenwood. And what I will say is the amount of people using this as like a meme to have a laugh. And, there are people who have to live these experiences. I mean, really live these experiences, and it stays with them forever. Do you not think that's triggering for people to have to look on their timeline and see people making fun of things like this? It's not funny. It really isn't funny. And there's a process that now has to happen. And I think it's important that we remember that. Me personally, I'm not the sort of person to hear a bit of news, flock to the internet, and talk about things that I may not know, or we don't have all the facts and we don't know this. But what is factual is that there's a victim in this. There is somebody who's been hurt from this and is suffering from this. And that for me is the main thing. I think the process of what will happen with Mason Greenwood now, that is the process that should happen. There are other players at other Premier League football clubs who are obviously not playing at the moment and are out of circulation, and rightly so with what's going on. And does that happen in this case? We have to wait to see how this unfolds. And there is a proper way of doing things, of how these things come to light and what happens in the coming, things after it. But for me, I'm not a person who's going to kind of say this should happen and that should happen, because essentially nobody's above the law. Nobody should be above the law. And footballer or not, footballer, not famous, working in an office, whatever, doesn't matter. Nobody's above the law. And when things like this come out, I think it's very important that people kind of let them be dealt with how they should be dealt with. And there shouldn't be any special treatment. The club, I think, needs to be strong in this. I think the longer it goes without some form of action being taken or some form of next words from the club, the worse it is. And I'm sure that, the police will be involved. We've seen reports of that already, that's going to be happening. But like I said, my main thing on this is that is looking at it like there's somebody here who's been hurt. There's somebody who's had to go through this. And this is the reality of a lot of women in society, in this world. Forget football and forget trying to sugarcoat it, because it potentially could be a Manchester United player who is the star boy of Man United and England. Forget all of that. This is happening daily in society. And I think for people to be going to the internet and putting funny, what they deem to be funny, because they're not funny, they're just disgusting, to be putting up memes and making a joke out of things like this is absolutely disgusting. What if that was your auntie? What if that was your sister? What if that was your other half? What if that was, somebody in your family? Would you be posting up memes and funny jokes then? No, you wouldn't. And if you did, you're just a sick individual. So my thing is that, I know a lot of people who have been through trauma, who have been through things like this, and this is extremely triggering. Do you know what I mean? And those are the people we should be, caring about and thinking about, and should be at the forefront of this. Whatever's going to happen to Mason Greenwood in light of these allegations, as it goes through the proper channels, is what will happen. And I think as long as there's whatever evidence is there, it's going to be considered and it's going to be dealt with in the right way. I hope it is. And that's what should happen. But right now, for me, there's a young victim there. There's a young lady who's clearly been through some trauma there. And that should be at the forefront of everyone's mind. My thing isn't flock to the internet, say this for outrage, say that for outrage, say that for likes, say that for clicks, and just to sensationalize this whole thing, or come out shouting and swearing and saying this is a no. For me, I don't know, it depends how people see it, but there's somebody on the other end of this, and actually away from just this one individual case, this is just one of the high profile cases that it seems like it's made it to obviously this notoriety. But this is a lot of people's reality, and people suffering in silence. People suffering in silence. And for me, that's the most important thing, that those people aren't silenced anymore. Those people aren't silenced, and I stand with them. I really do. I feel very passionate about that. And that's why I'd rather gather myself and come and talk about this from a fairly factual basis, where we don't know all the facts. All we know is what we've seen this morning, which is obviously really shocking and disturbing, what we've seen this morning. But also to remember, like I said, that there's a female that's involved in this who's had to live this experience. You know, if that was your daughter, if that was your family member, how would that make you feel? And on the other side of it, there's parents of the likes of Mason and other people involved, and other family members who could be just as shocked as we are to hear this. How do you think they feel? So I just think it's really important to just be sensitive around these things, and think, what if this was someone close to your heart that this was happening to, and react responsibly. And that's how I feel about it. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the coming days. I'm sure we'll get more on this. I'm sure we will see what happens. Manchester United are playing next Friday in the FA Cup. You would expect the right steps to be taken. Usually when these sorts of things happen, you'll get suspended, then an investigation happens, and then there's findings from those investigations. I'm not a specialist in law. I'm not a specialist in police. I'm not a specialist in how these things deal with, but I'm a human being and I have empathy. And that's how I'm treating this right now. And we all know that, sometimes when things happen at a high level and famous people, that things get brushed under the carpet, and sometimes you get controversies and all this kind of stuff and conspiracies and stuff like that. I just think this thing should be dealt with very, very swiftly, with the right people doing the right things, and the right kind of solution, the right justice. If it's the right thing, should be done by the end of it. I don't think anybody should be, getting away lightly and things like that, because at the end of the day, like I said, there's a victim in this. There could be more than that. We don't know. We do not know. And whilst we don't know, and whilst it's really early, I'm just thinking we need to just let this unfold and see what happens. But what I will say is, what I saw this morning was shocking, disturbing, and absolutely disgusting. And then, like I keep reiterating it, to see people having a laugh at this expense. Some of the tweets I saw, and some of the jokes I was seeing being made, and people, and another thing, people using it as a chance to maybe come at Man United fans to say, oh, look at your player, or look at this, or look at that. And listen, nobody wants to see that. Nobody knew that these type of allegations were going to surface. So listen, we'll wait and see what happens. We'll wait and see how this is dealt with. But please, guys, just remember, this is very, very sensitive, and there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or millions of women across the world, some that you may know and may not know, that may go through this. And that is the most important thing. Think about them. And anyone who's watching this who has been, troubled by it or triggered, just know, I'm thinking of you. I got you. We got you, because you guys are brave. You guys are brave, and you lot are the true heroes in this. And we can only imagine what it is like to go through something like that. That's my thing on it. So we'll wait and see how this pans out. It's been reported in various outlets, not what anybody wants to be talking about. It's the closing of the transfer window, and us here as a community, and my responsibility, I felt like it needed addressing. You've got to address this. These are, as it stands, I think it's important to say that, this is early, and we haven't heard anything from, obviously, the other side, from the allegations of what Mason Greenwood is and isn't going to do or say, and what action Manchester United are and aren't going to take. All we can do is wait and see what happens. This is the first day of this. So I think it's important of that, but I don't think anyone can condone what they saw and heard this morning. Extremely triggering, extremely disturbing. And I stand with anyone who's been through that. You know, I'm here for you. That's it. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the near future on this, and we'll go from there. Take care, everyone.